Avistamentos, incidente no Brasil. Não deixe de deixar o like no meu último trabalho, Medo de Espíritos. Não se esqueça de se inscrever no meu canal, deixe seu like e ative o sininho. Eu recomendo KN Divulgadora, minha divulgadora oficial. E vamos para o vídeo. O universo é infinito. Na Terra, aviões voam em todos os continentes. De grande porte a pequeno porte. Circulam o nosso planeta. Mas no Brasil, no ano de 1986, mudaria muita coisa no mundo.
Esta semana, altas autoridades militares do Brasil admitiram publicamente pela primeira vez ter visto objetos voadores não identificados, os OVNIs. O próprio ministro da Aeronáutica, Brigadeiro Moreira Lima, deu entrevista para informar que pilotos das bases de Santa Cruz, no Rio de Janeiro, e de Anápolis, em Goiás, chegaram até a perseguir e a ser perseguidos pelos objetos voadores não identificados na região de São José dos Campos, sobre o Vale do Paraíba, e trechos do estado do Rio de Janeiro. Eram 21 OVNIs, segundo os militares, que ficaram mais de 3 horas sobrevoando o território brasileiro na noite de segunda e madrugada de terça-feira.
Toda vez que é detectado algum objeto não identificado, evidentemente há um processo bastante eficiente de verificar se foi alguma aeronave que está voando sem um plano de voo aprovado, etc.
Após esse incidente, a Força Aérea Brasileira ficou em silêncio. Mas o brigadeiro admitiu que os OVNIs estavam sobre o Brasil. Os controladores de voo já viram no seu radar diversas vezes objetos estranhos, luzes que só apareciam no radar, mas estão sendo avistados por olho nu. Nenhum objeto ou avião conhecido até o momento faz esse tipo de movimento. É uma tecnologia muito avançada. OVNI derruba um avião da Esquadrilha da Fumaça.
Da Esquadrilha da Fumaça são reforçados para suportar as manobras. A manutenção é quase obsessiva E no momento em que a asa se soltou, o capitão Barreto estava começando a subir. A pressão sobre o aparelho era de 3 vezes a força da gravidade. O Tucano suporta até 11 vezes a força da gravidade. Foi um acidente inédito em 44 anos de Esquadrilha da Fumaça. Agora repare, 5 segundos antes do acidente, um objeto voador não identificado passa pelo Tucano em altíssima velocidade. Será que esse estranho objeto tem algo a ver com o acidente? O capitão Barreto está hoje na base aérea de Fortaleza. A convite do Fantástico, ele assistiu às imagens em que aparece o suposto OVNI.
Durante o voo, eu realmente não observei isso aí.
Na sua opinião, o que seria esse objeto?
É um mistério. Eu realmente não consigo explicar. A velocidade que ele passa é uma velocidade muito alta. E interessante também o tamanho dele. É um tamanho pequeno, né? Em relação ao todo da aeronave, que a gente pode observar, o comprimento da aeronave são 10 metros de comprimento. O objeto, ele, se comparado ao tamanho da aeronave, é bastante pequeno mesmo.
O capitão Barreto diz que em 17 anos de carreira nunca tinha visto nada parecido com isso.
Nesse vídeo a seguir, mostra um objeto voador não identificado, captado por uma câmera do avião. Ele passou em uma velocidade Mach 3. Há mais mistério entre o céu e a terra. Nesse próximo vídeo, não há dúvida, é um objeto muito grande, observado pela câmera do avião. Um objeto voador não identificado. Esse depoimento fala por si só.
There are many species, and I'm convinced they have different agendas. Just like maybe the United States, Russia, China might have different agendas. So if you say, well, what do Earthlings think? Well, who are you talking about? Are you talking about the Russians or the Americans or the Germans or who? And I think there have been face-to-face meetings, probably with species who look very much like humans. And some of them come from planets in our own solar system. And they are people who could be walking down the corridors of the Pentagon and would be unrecognized. Then there are other species, such as the Greys, for example, which are very distinct in their looks. They're short, they have very large heads, very long arms, and very big eyes, and they're more like the ones that we usually see in the cartoons of extraterrestrials. They're not little green men, which we used to say, little green men from Mars, but they're short, dark-skinned, what they were designated as by the United States government, extraterrestrial biological entities, EBs. So the EBs, that group of them, look very different. And they may have an agenda which is quite different from some of the others. because there are different degrees of spirituality. And in the meantime, the MJ-12, this is the very small elite group that President Truman set up to manage the extraterrestrial file and to report directly to the president. They allegedly made a deal with the Greys to exchange technology and to allow them to do a limited number. That's a joke to say, you know, but the deal was a limited number of abductions in exchange for technology. And that as a result of this arrangement, over the years, the United States has managed to what we call back engineer or replicate the extraterrestrial technology, both on the weapons side and on the transportation side, to the point where Dr. Stephen Greer, the witnesses, said about the flying saucers, you can't tell whether it's one of theirs or one of ours because they look so much alike. So they have made tremendous progress in 60 years, and they have developed very powerful weapons, far more powerful than anything they had before. And they have, according to Ben Rich, who was the former head of the Lockheed Skunk Works, which was working on these kinds of vehicles, they now have, as he said, quote, the capability of taking E.T. home. And so when you say happiness, I think you have to then say happiness between whom and by whom, because there's no carte blanche single answer to that question. I know that there is some concern about one breed of reptilians, and that maybe they have some connection with the Greys. I don't know. But again, you can't, it's not carte blanche, because there are branches of the reptilians, and there are allegedly some good, positive creatures in this with that name. But the United States, when it was briefing presidents, has always said that most of them are benign, but there was one that wasn't. They've never named the one. No one's ever told me who it was. But I suspect they're talking about this one branch of the reptilians, who, if you wanted a nice way to sum it up, would represent the dark. And on the other hand, the people from people from Mars and Venus and Saturn, who look more like us, are more spiritual, and who would represent the light. So it's not an easy question. No definitive answer, because I don't know precisely what the answer is. I suspect no one knows 100%. When I say no one, I mean no human in the realm of authority. But there are certainly people in the United States cabal who have more information about this subject than any of the rest of us, because they have been collecting it assiduously for years and years, and they have probably had more contact with different groups over a longer period than just about anybody else. So they have a lot to disclose when we can get them to disclose it. But disclosure is essential. The information is there. It's in the public domain. But the cabal owns so much of the press, both print and electronic, that it's not going to get into the press that would convince him, like his own paper. And that is a problem.
Diretor da NASA admite existir OVNIs.
Been fascinated by UFOs, and the public has seen the videos that our Navy pilots have taken. But do you think that we have been contacted by extraterrestrials?
Well, I have talked to those Navy pilots, and they are sure that they saw something real. And of course, we've seen their video from their jets. What is it? We don't know. So now that I'm here at NASA, I've turned to our scientists and I've said, would you, looking at it from a scientific standpoint, see if you can determine so that we can have a better idea. We don't know if it's extraterrestrial. We don't know if it's an enemy. We don't know if it's an optical phenomenon. We don't think so because of the characteristics that those Navy jet pilots described as they saw it move around.
They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
The bottom line is we want to know, and that's what we're trying to do.
What do you think it is? I mean, what's your personal take on it?
I don't have an idea. That's why I turned to our scientists.
And what have they said to you?
Well, they're looking into it. Would you like me to call you when I get an answer?
Please, because I want to know just as much as you want to know, just as much as the public wants to know.
Of course.
And, you know, the Pentagon, they will soon release their report on UFOs. But when people think of mysterious things flying in the sky and aliens, they think of NASA. So what have you guys been briefed about in terms of this report? Have you been involved in any way?
I was actually briefed on this a couple of years ago in my capacity on the Senate Armed Services Committee. NASA appropriately is going to look at it through the lens of its scientists, and that's what we're doing.
But do you think the agency should be more involved at this point?
Well, we are, and I've started it. I've been here a month, and I've started it.
And are you guys working with the Pentagon then on that report?
We are not directly working with them, but I can guarantee you if we find something, the Pentagon will want to know.
O diretor da NASA admitindo que existem objetos voadores não identificados, isso é uma prova mais que concreta que eles estão entre nós. Obrigado por assistir o meu vídeo. Mas não se esqueça de se inscrever no meu canal, deixe seu like e ative o sininho. Me siga no Facebook, Instagram e YouTube. E até a próxima. Valeu!